Okay, it looks like we have everybody here. So I am going to hereby call this special meeting to order. We are going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Here goes the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We no longer need the flag, although it's a very nice thing to see. Well, you know what? While we're waiting for Michael to remove the flag, we'll go to our first action item. Now, this is the last meeting until September 7th, I believe, is the next meeting. So we're going to go to board goals. Mike, if you could take our discussion on board goals, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. So because this is an action item, I'll introduce as a motion, but I fully expect, in fact, I know that it's going to be amended because I made a mistake in the red line and keeping something in I thought I took out. So in any event, I would like to present, I'd like to move.
Mike, just point of order. You can amend, you can correct yourself if there are things you want to correct in the document. You can do it from the get-go. You don't have to wait for a motion.
So let's do that.
Is
my
understanding.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Yep.
Okay. So
you might need to make the motion simply to have it as a discussion item. I think that's the point.
Well, we don't want it as a discussion item because we want to try to get it done.
I meant a discussion on the item. I'm with you on that.
Fair enough.
Michael will fix the document, then make a motion. Someone will second that motion, and then we'll begin discussion on that that item. How's that sound?
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So then we're going to talk about it first. I'm not going to make a motion.
Oh, you don't know what you want to change it? You don't know?
Fair enough.
Change about it?
Well, no, I do.
I think you have to make the motion to put the item on the for discussion.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
just do it the first way you were going to do it and make it simple.
Fair enough. So I'd like to move to accept the draft board goals 2023 document as presented.
I'll second it.
Karen Hirsch will second that.
Very good.
And now, do we have discussion, or I'll pass it over to you, Mike, to run the discussion? I'm sorry.
Great, thank you. In the agenda tonight, you'll see a revised version of the draft board goals. We've seen this a few times. It's gone through a few iterations. Just if you're looking at it, you'll notice that most of the iteration the changes here are in purple, and you'll see what's crossed out. The one change that I actually meant to delete, and Karen Hirsch was kind of to point out yesterday that I didn't mean to include in there still was number 5. Under number 5, the second bullet, researching how other boards conduct superintendent reviews for possible best practices. We got a lot of, I got a few comments from board members who didn't want to put that in the board goals for the coming year. So thought it best just to strike that in the spirit of bringing the whole document across the finish line.
Mike, can I stop you just for a second? I think Karen wants to say something that's going to be, of course, very helpful.
Please go ahead, Karen.
I don't know about how helpful, but I know you mentioned the revising number 5. I'm just trying to pull the document up in front of me. There was one other one that you and I had discussed that you had said you had also meant to remove, which was under number 6, which was diversifying facilitation of specific agenda items during board meetings to different board members, as that's the role we talked about. Like, it's, through our policy and Robert's rules, it's the role of the chair, and the chair has the right to then share that.
Right. So I'm fine striking that. The only issue is, if in that regard, is we don't have anything. I'm open to suggestions. We wouldn't have anything under "we will do this by" then. All the others have the goal that we're committed to and how we're going to do it. I'm happy for other suggestions on how we do it, because I hear your point there on that would be more of the role of the chair, although we've certainly done that with this chair, unless we wanted whoever the next chair to be to continue that practice, and then we're going to say
well, I think that again is up to the individual chair, but the board and district community engagement advocacy, there are 2 "we will do this" bys under there already that have been there the whole, about the sharing our, the pre-recorded presentations ahead of time and, communications with other town bodies and stakeholders. So there are 2 other bullet points under that. Goal number 6.
No, you're right. I had to scroll down and I forgot that myself.
I know,
Fine.
I
Let's just
remember.
strike it. Okay. All right. So, so the discussion then, for purposes of the ratifying the board goals, we are crossing out the second bullet point from number 5 and the first bullet point from number 6. Are there any other thoughts or suggestions on the changes here or any other possible revisions? Ms. Downey.
Yes, hi. I agree with Ms. Hirsch's on both of those. And then just on number 1, the first bullet was a little awkwardly drafted. It just says evaluating that board presentations and reports aligned to the metric. It kind of grammatically didn't work if you read it as a sentence. And then similarly, the second bullet there, it's not really that are we going to be conducting the review or that we're directing the administration to conduct a review. So that was my own, other than Karen's comments, those 2, I thought they needed just a little revision wording wise. Take a look.
I'm
for a
fine.
moment.
Yeah, I'm so direct administration, and I think maybe our wires got crossed because I tend to agree. I thought this was your suggested wording.
I did, but then now looking at no, I don't disagree with it. It's just the worst of you conducting.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and
the
that's
second
my
bullet.
only on the second bullet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
So let's change the second bullet to direct the administration to.
And all of the others are ings, so it should be directing.
Directing, fair enough. Directing the administration to conduct
a review.
a review. That makes sense because a board level review is superfluous. We're correcting
Right, and then on the first one, it feels like there's a word missing or something if you just read it grammatically. We could just say evaluate, take out the word, we could read it, revise it to say evaluating board presentations and reports according to the metrics within the strategic plan. If that's.
I like that. According
Okay.
to the metrics.
As opposed to align and delete the word that.
Okay, so.
Those are my only changes.
that
If you
sounds
want me to
great.
make the motion, I'll make the motion, Joe, whenever it's convenient, or Karen can.
So let me read this out, and then I see Karen. I don't know if your hand is still up. The corrected language of number 1 here is we will do this by evaluating board presentations and reports according to the metrics within the strategic plan and directing the administration to conduct a review of the community connections and Windrose programs. Any other? I really need multiple screens. Any other comments? Seeing none, Christina, I heard you volunteering to make a motion.
Sure thing. I'm gonna make a motion that the draft board goals 2020 be.
Wait, don't you have to
20
withdraw the motion?
No, I'm
Oh.
gonna
On the
make a motion
table?
to amend. Well, I was gonna make a
Okay.
motion to amend.
Okay.
Motion that the draft board goals 2023 be amended as follows. First bullet under point 1 shall read evaluating board presentations according to the metrics within the strategic plan. Number 2, second bullet under number 1 will say directing the administration to conduct a review of the community connections and Windrose programs. Number 3, deleting the second bullet point under item 5. And 4th, deleting the first bullet point under item 6.
Second.
Okay, Mike, I'll take the roll call vote unless we have further discussion. Karen, you kind of putting your hand up. I see your finger waving. Does that count as a hand up?
Oh, no, I just didn't know who seconded it, and then I realized.
did.
So, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let's go for a roll. I will call the question and we will have a roll call vote. Karen Hirsch,
Yes.
Christina Downey,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Cody,
Yep.
Karen Kowalski,
Yes.
and I am a yes. That's unanimous. 8-0-0.
Hooray.
Hey, very good. Thank you, Michael, for all the effort you put into that one. And thank you for everyone who contributed. And Karen Hirsch has her hand up.
I just want to confirm, because Christina, did you say to approve the amended version as follows? Because I thought the motion I had was just to amend them.
Christina, you are muted.
Sorry about that. My motion was just to amend. You're right.
So that's why I just wanted to double check. So we just need to have them, I'm happy to make a motion to, approve the, I'm sorry, what was it? Approve the 2023-2024 board goals as amended.
Thank you. Second.
Okay, I guess there's no discussion at this, so I will call the question and let's take a vote. Karen Hirsch,
Yes.
Christina,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Karen Kowalski,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. That's another 8-0 vote. That's amazing. You guys are some team, let me tell you. Holy smokes. Okay, do we have to amend, re-amend, unamend, or delete anything on this topic further? No, hearing nothing, then we'll move on to the next topic. We have the superintendent's contract, which we have to discuss. I am open or listening for any motions. I am not going to make one right now. And I see Christina would like to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to extend the superintendent's contract until June 30th, 2026, and authorize the board chair to execute the contract.
Do we have a second? It looks like Kathleen wants to second that one. Okay, any discussions?
Yeah, if I may.
Oh, of course you may.
I believe a 2-year extension of Dr. Jones's contract is really the only responsible decision that this board can make. I know I've made comments before, but bear with me. The board gave Dr. Jones an overwhelmingly positive review, and we unanimously voted on her salary increase. These are the actions of a board believing their superintendent is performing as expected. We've told her we want her to have a vision for and lead GPS, but we need to give her the time to do so, which isn't simply a 1-year process. So in sum, we have a high-performing superintendent who we all agree we want to retain. What is our task as a board? We all swore to honestly, faithfully, and impartially discharge our duties as school board members. And in light of that oath, any decision regarding the length of the contract extension should be guided by a simple test. Simple. What extension best positions us to execute the long-term strategic plan and to continue to improve the Greenwich Public Schools for the benefit of our current and future students? There are kind of 2 macro issues related to that, or 2 lenses. One is the strategic plan and one is industry practice. The strategic plan is long-term. We need to show a long-term commitment to our administrator that we're tasking with implementing this plan. This spring, as you all know, we adopted the new long-term strategic plan, long-term, I'm emphasizing that, which we felt was in the best interest of the Greenwich Public Schools and our students. And if we want our long-term plan to succeed, we need stable, excellent, long-term leadership. We already have Dr. Jones in that role, who was a key proponent and participant in creating the plan. We want the superintendent to drive this long-term plan. So why in the world would we ask her to drive a long-term plan, but only give her a short-term extension? What sort of long-term strategic thinking would a short-term 1-year extension promote? In short, a 2-year extension for a leader we all wanted to extend and stick with us passes the simple test with flying colors. Then there's industry practice. Even if we weren't managing to a long-term plan, it's a plain fact that the industry standard for a superintendent contract in Connecticut is 3 years, and it's customary for renewals to match this standard. You may not like the standard, but it's a simple competitive hiring and retention reality in the education world in Connecticut. And Dr. Jones has simply asked for a customary 2-year renewal to bring her to that standard. None of my colleagues has provided a sound rationale for deviating from these customary education hiring practices. Board members may or may not happen to like the standard and the management retention practice as an intellectual matter, but frankly, this is not the venue for a philosophical debate. We should not be playing with fire by trying to buck the regional standard. None have offered a sound educational or organizational rationale for a short-term extension for a long-term plan. And circling back to data, some of my colleagues argue we need more data on the strategic plan to make a long-term decision. Dr. Jones has a 4-year proven track record of leadership at GPS, taking us through COVID, addressing special education, and focusing on curriculum reviews, among other things. Partial data on a strategic plan that we just voted on a few months ago is not sufficient to make any intelligent decision on her future with us or draw any conclusions about our achievements under that plan. So I would submit that the 2-year extension is the appropriate number with those metrics. This super simple test. What is best to achieving our strategic plan, and what continues to improve Greenwich Public Schools for the benefit of our current and future students.
Thank you. I have Kathleen up next.
Well, that was a pretty good summary, so I'm just going to add one bit because I think she kind of covered all my points. But after our last vote, there were a few people that reached out. I guess I should say many, but there were a few that mattered in terms of beyond the normal feedback I get from constituents. And there's one that particularly sticks out in my mind. And that's Ralph Mayo, who called me and said, please tell me you're going to give her 3 years. And I said, I hope so. But he said, that's market. And I said, I realize that. But what I think is more interesting coming from Ralph than anyone is, as we know, is I led a superintendent process when we picked Dr. Jones, and Ralph was very publicly the second choice. And the fact that this man stood up, who is now leading our high school, and said she's a great leader and gave me a call to say that, I think kind of sums it up, because he thinks that she's leading our district in the right direction, and would hate to see us kind of go backwards with superintendent turnover. So I just wanted to add that tidbit. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Michael?
Yeah, I appreciate the thinking and the challenges around this matter, and I think it's also, I think one of the real challenges here is how this is interpreted. And this debate over 1 year is interpreted. It's inevitable that someone's going to interpret this as some kind of comment on Dr. Jones's performance. And it shouldn't be. At least not. I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I think I speak for everyone else who thinks of 1 year is extension is appropriate. Is that it's exactly right. The Dr. Jones we had a very positive conversation, and not going into personal or what was in the executive session. It was a very positive conversation, and the community should not interpret this as a lack of confidence in Dr. Jones's leadership. That is not the case. We have made this district under Dr. Jones has made excellent strides, and I fully expect those to continue. And we talk about the strategic plan and metrics under strategic plan. I fully expect for us to be here next year and seeing some really great results and talking about further extensions of the contract. I think we have to put this, unfortunately, I think we have to put the decision of the length of the extension into historical terms. Yes, we do have the trauma of the multiple superintendents that came before Dr. Jones, and the superintendent churn and the lack of getting anything done, and the great stability that Dr. Jones has brought. We don't want to go back to that. That is most definitely true. At the same time, we've gone through this period because of the pandemic of a drop in scores. We've also gone through this period where we did not have a strategic direction. Not Dr. Jones's fault. The board couldn't come around and coalesce around something. We have both now. I think in the spirit of effective governance and appropriate governance, it's appropriate to provide the same level of job security that Dr. Jones had at the beginning of this year. Beginning of this year in September, there were 2 years on her contract. A 1-year extension would mean at the beginning of September, there would be 2 years in the contract. And then next year, at the expiration of her current 3-year contract, because this is year 2 of a 3-year deal, we could, it's certainly appropriate to talk about a lengthier market-based term. But given some of the historic nature on both sides here, but given the nature of where the district has been, where it's going, and everything else, as we continue to develop our own sense of governance, I really think that providing 2 years, providing a 1-year extension, which is 2 years of contractual service, is the most prudent right now. And I urge everyone in the community not to take that as a vote of a lack of confidence in Dr. Jones, because it's not what it is at all. But instead, they should take it as a sense that as a district, we've set a path forward, and we want to make sure that we're moving forward in that direction.
Thank you, Michael. Laura, I see you put your hand up.
I am just going to say, respectfully, Mike, you haven't been here quite as long as some of us who are a little bit longer with the district, with our kids, and have seen superintendents come and go over the years. My kid's 18. I don't know how many superintendents I've lived through in this district. I've lost count. So I will say that I really believe to not extend a longer term contract would be a managerial failure that I do not want on my track record as a board member. I believe that she has provided vision and stability for the district. And I really believe that that is what we are as a board tasked. Vision and stability is what our families deserve. So I'm going to leave it at that and say, nothing I have heard tonight about not giving her, not in any of the meetings we've had, nothing is compelling to me as a reason to not extend her for 2 years. So that's just my piece. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And Karen Hirsch, you're up next.
I know some of you might not have seen this, but the head of GEA, Ms. Perrone, reached out to us as well. And, I think I've lived through multiple superintendents and interim superintendents. And I've said it before about how forward we have moved in the period of time that we've had Dr. Jones here in the past, I believe it's a little over 4 years. And I just sort of wanted to share some of what the head of our teachers union had shared with us. I think it's an exceptionally important point to make. She said, we need stability and long-term, that teachers want that stability and long-term. And they're tired of new superintendents coming in with new teams, new curriculum agendas and changes. And just when our teachers are able to start to master a new curriculum, we lose the leadership and change happens over and over again. She knows that we would not be able to boast how Greenwich was the only school system during, in school and hybrid during COVID if it wasn't for Dr. Jones. She's worked firsthand with her all the way through all of the issues. And even if when they agreed or disagreed, in the end, they got things done. It was the right thing for the students, staff, and our families. And she said there are many other issues that they've worked through and found the way forward that in the best support of our students and staff. She said she doesn't need to wait a year and use metrics of measurement for success. She's observed firsthand that Dr. Jones, a leader and a woman of courage, smart, articulate, and tough. And ultimately, she's put in the hours and believes it's a great business decision to keep good leadership and continued consistency from the Greenwich Public Schools. She said it better than I could. But it's, again, I think, as I mentioned, in previous meetings, we've just approved a strategic plan that's taken quite some time for us to get through. I want someone who is intimately involved in the creation of that, who is accountable to that, because this is the first time we've actually had a strategic plan that has specific dates and points, data points that we need to reach in there, leading us forward with that plan. And it's the best way to evaluate our success. I know Joe has said it before, our intrepid chair, he wants to be number one. I'd like to be number one as well. And I think this is the best way for us to do that, is to continue with that stability that we've had. Many of us have lived through the changeover before, and we know that it leads to a lot of, not a lot of forward movement when we have those types of changes. So I'd like to be able to give our students what they deserve, which is our focus and attention back to where it needs to be on those topics, and not, debating on all of these different subjects. So that's really just what I want to share.
Thank you, Karen. And Christina, how could you possibly thought of more things to say about the Dr. Jones? But please go ahead. You're muted. You're muted.
I just wanted to address, I think after 3 years of this, we'd know where the mute button is. I just wanted to address the data point. And I had this conversation with Mike earlier today.
Uh-oh.
I agree with that and helping evaluate our
Christina,
superintendent. However,
may I
1
stop
year of
you?
data.
Christina, may I stop you for a second? You froze for a second, so you broke it up, so we didn't actually get your full point.
Much appreciated. How's this? Good. My point in my conversation with Mike earlier is that I agree, data is important and the evaluation of the strategic plan. However, under the 1 year extension, we will only have 1 year of data under the strategic plan. 1 year of data does not a trend make. It's a picture, and sometimes you have students, you have a good year or a bad year. Who knows what's going on? But I don't think it's really appropriate to be making any kind of evaluation of Dr. Jones, or frankly of our plan and the metrics we're using based on 1 year. It's a long-term plan for a reason. So I just wanted to reiterate that point.
Well, thank you for that. And if nobody else wants to say anything, I'm going to say a couple of things, and with the danger of repeating myself, and I apologize, some points have been repeated already, but I'm going to repeat mine. I've got a lot of calls over the weekend and today as well. And certainly there was a lot of different opinions. And I realized after getting a bunch of offsetting opinions that basically it really comes down to the 8 of us. I'm not really concerned all that much with the extreme opinions that come in. I feel it's the 8 of us because we only have one employee. It's the only thing we're in charge of. We have nothing else. So really, it's what we kind of think. And what I've been trying to do, and I'll continue to say it all the way along, I'm really interested in getting us to be unanimous in making a decision. Problem is, we can't find, it's against the rules to do like a year and a half or something like that. We found compromise between the 1 year and the 2 years. We're stuck with only 2 choices. There's 3 choices, but the other choice of non-extension is not on the table. Nobody wants to not extend our superintendent. We all want to extend her employment. We all want to extend her and keep her on board. But the goal of having us to come on some sort of a unified time where I find it hard to ask somebody who's asking for 1 year to evaluate the superintendent and wrestle them into a 2 year decision. It creates animosity and creates bitterness. and might, that person who does not get their way might find a way of undermining or attempting to undermine if it suits. I don't think anyone here would do that, but I don't want to leave that option open. I think that if we can all put a plan together for evaluating in some cycle, the superintendent and all agree on the same time frame, that would send the real important message to our community that we, as the Board of Ed, the 8 of us, just like the 2 previous votes, we voted 8-0 because we're the best board in town and we can agree on things. In this case here, it's just kind of messed up where there's only choices keep us where it's binary 1 or 2 here and just makes it hard. So I know I assume we're gonna go into an executive session to kind of further to try to find an agreement, but my goal still is the same as it always has been. I want to find an agreement between this board where everyone is satisfied with the decision and we're unified in making that decision. Once again, I apologize for having said that before, but maybe there's one person listening who maybe didn't hear it. Cody, you're up.
I have a lot I could say about this, but I don't think I'm going to change anyone's mind. So I'm just going to stick with one thing, is that the idea that having only 1 year of data doesn't change much. It seems funny to me to say then, well, okay, well, we'll make a decision with no data at all. I find that to be a little logically off.
I never said no data. We have 4 years.
No,
for
but then,
working.
but why is
Hey, let's hold our open
right? So,
debate for
but
our
getting
executive session.
incremental,
Cody, you have
incremental
the floor.
information. My point was that you get incremental information, then it comes like, why not have that? But that's not even that's not the reason to be in favor of 1 year. I think we're wasting our time here because it seems like I don't think anyone is changing their mind, and so then it's just a question of like I said this last time, like this is all theater and posturing, so we should vote on it and then figure out what's left to do.
So you'll call the question, but I do have to comment on one thing you said, Cody, and not to call you out on something, but I think discussions are never a waste of time, because there might be the chance that one thing is said that might actually help for someone to make their mind in either direction. So I slightly disagree with you on that point. But if you'd like, I will, unless you want to answer my comment, but I think it's time to call the question, unless you want to say something.
I would bet on how I think this vote's going to go, but I'd love to be proven wrong.
All right, then we will then call the question. Let me get my pen ready so I can mark the yeses and nos. Cody.
No.
I don't know if we was there a motion actually made?
Yes.
I made the motion.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
For clarity's sake, this is the 2-year extension motion.
Yeah, okay,
just
thank you. Nope, never mind.
just in case.
I have
Okay.
it.
So Cody is a no. Michael.
No.
Christina.
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Karen Hirsch.
Yes.
Laura.
She was shaking her head. Yes. Can you get off mute? Yes, she said.
You can't get off mute. So you are a yes, right? Yes. Yes. Okay, I'll put it as a yes. Okay, that leaves us Karen Kowalski,
No.
and I'm a no as well. We're 4-4. Cody, good thing nobody bet against you. My suggestion is that we go into executive session to further discuss these issues. We have a question by Miss Downey. Miss Downey, do you have a question?
I was actually I'm not sure executive session, but I was going to suggest that I make a motion for recess while we caucus, individual caucuses, which we're entitled to do at any
Oh,
meeting.
yeah, I'm just thinking about the response. Well, I think we could certainly do that. Are we set up to do that?
I think we just do it on our phones, to be honest with you.
Yeah, or figure out our own Google Meet.
Yeah, you have to figure out your own side. I'm not doing that for you, Mike.
No problem.
Okay, so we'll take a break.
I'm going to make it's quite that. I'm making a motion that we have a recess to caucus.
And do
I
we
will
have a
second the motion.
Michael,
Mike
you
seconded.
it. I have to take the roll call vote because we are Zoom. Sorry about that. Cody,
Sure.
Michael,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Christina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Karen Hirsch,
Yes.
Laura.
I found my mute button. Yeah.
Excellent. Carrie Glasky.
Sure.
All right, so we'll jump out of this Zoom
And
and
so, what, Joe, I will, why don't we stay in touch via text in terms of when we're ready to come back, you and
okay,
I?
but wouldn't we go directly into that other executive session situation?
Not necessarily, not necessarily.
Well, I think either way, we would have to come back to this
I think we have
session,
to come
this
back.
meeting, and then vote to go into executive session. So either way, we have to come back to the public meeting. And then if we are going into executive session, vote for that.
All right, I'll see you guys in the public meeting in a short period of time.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. What do we have everybody? We're still waiting for Karen Kowalski.
No, I'm here.
You're here, okay, and we have everybody else, okay. Let's see. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to extend the Superintendent Tony Jones's contract by 1 year from June of 2024 to June of 2025. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Well, Laura seconded it, so.
I believe Laura is mouthing, I did not.
Laura's not seconding it.
Oh, why was she thumbing up? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
She's having
I'll-
difficulty, I think.
I'll
I
second.
I will
it.
second.
Oh, Michael will second, okay. All right, do we have any discussions?
Joe, just procedurally, I don't think we need, it is not our view that we need an executive session at this time. The other thing too is we would, I think after the vote, I think let's proceed to my suggestion would be to proceed to the vote and then people can explain their votes after the fact if they like to.
We're gonna have the vote and then everyone feel free to explain as much and as many times as they'd like about what they feel after the vote. I'm okay with that. And
Thank you.
so we will proceed then to the vote. Now, first will be Cody.
Yes.
Second is Laura. Oh, she's frozen too. Uh-oh. So we'll go back to Laura and we'll go to Kathleen.
No,
No. We'll go to Karen Hirsch.
Can you come back to me, please?
Sure. Let's see if Michael,
Yes.
Karen Kowalski,
Yes.
Laura Costin, are you back?
Yes, sorry for that.
No problem.
I'm gonna abstain.
Abstain. And we have left, let's see, 3, 4, 5. Karen Hirsch, you wanted us to go back to you?
And you didn't call me.
I'll call you right after Karen Hirsch. Oh, I'm sorry. Christina, go ahead.
I'm a no.
No, I'm a yes. And Karen, you can now
I'm an abstain.
abstain. Okay. So we have the motion passes, 4 yes, 2 no, and 2 abstentions. Is there any order that we'd like to talk, or should I just call people in some random order? I will call people in a random order. Kathleen,
Go Kathleen go, and I'll go after Kathleen.
perfect.
I mean, obviously I voted no. I mean, I think you've all heard wholeheartedly that I think that this is not a good direction for us. And I was looking at the number of attendees we have tonight. This is happening at end of June. I remember when we had meetings that had 1,000 attendees during COVID because Dr. Jones was getting us back to school and that's what people cared about. I'm sorry that we're here doing this and we don't have a lot of people listening, but you've given us our all. And what I'd like to say most importantly, Dr. Jones, is this is simply humiliating to do this in this manner. And I apologize on behalf of all of us, because I really think that you've given a lot to our children. And you always preach kindness, and the way this has played out has been far from kind. So I deeply apologize, and I think that this has been a very unfortunate evening. Thank you.
We'll go by raising hands then. How about we do that? Christina?
I think I've made my feelings, Tony. I fought tooth and nail. I think would love to see you here for the rest of your career for many years. I hope that some of my colleagues achieve that wisdom at some point. I am desperately concerned about a 1-year contract and a 1-year extension and what that signals and how that's going to be interpreted negatively by students, staff, and the community. I'm troubled by that some of my colleagues seem to believe that we're such a great place to work that Dr. Jones won't leave, or if she did, we'd find a good replacement for her. Given how badly some of the other town bodies have treated both us and our superintendent, even including as recently as a letter to the editor today. I think that belief is disconnected from reality. We've had this revolving door we've all talked about prior to her arrival. I hope that revolving door doesn't continue. I'm also dismayed that I think there has been intrusion of other town bodies and officials into the process, trying to influence us in making our decisions, where politics should play no role whatsoever in this instance. We were elected to do what's best for the Greenwich Public Schools, not any outside group, person, or candidate. And I would say the best thing to do was to retain our superintendent, who has progressed us on numerous fronts. I'm very disappointed in my fellow board members who really refused to extend her contract by 2 years. In the event that she leaves us as a result of this vote, they will bear the responsibility for that loss and her departure. I feel like the vote was kind of arbitrary. It wasn't based on sound decision making, and that is why I wouldn't support it. I think my colleagues know that. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. So with that, I'm done.
Cody, did you have your hand up?
I did. I was maybe hesitating because I think if you don't have anything nice to say, you're not supposed to say it. But I do find it entertaining that we will enter next year with the contract in exactly the same place that we entered this year. And I don't remember any of these grand speeches entering this year or the last year that we were creating some sort of crisis. But I do think it's disappointing that we missed an opportunity to have a unanimous vote, which I think would have been easy and sent a great signal. But presumably the 30 people watching this will know why we didn't have one, but I think it misses a good message for the community, and that's unfortunate.
Anybody else? We have Karen Hirsch.
I just want to say, it was a very hard call. I made it pretty clear that I would like to keep Dr. Jones here for 2 years and, extended beyond. So, 3 years and beyond. I know what the turnover in superintendents has done to the forward movement for our students academically in the past, and the other turmoil that it's created. While I am in support of keeping her for a year or 2 or 3 or 4 longer, I couldn't vote in good conscience just for one year extension when I know she truly deserves 2. As it says, our policy 90/40, our board really related responsibilities are to provide leadership in order that our goals and objectives for the school system can be effectively carried out, and to employ a superintendent capable of ensuring the district maintains a position to an outstanding school system and school personnel that carry out the policies of the board with energy and dedication. And I feel that that's what we have had for the past several years. And I want to see that leadership continue. But I just couldn't support just 1 year. I support a year extension. I just prefer to support more than that. So,
Thank you, Karen. Laura.
I'll be very brief and just say I abstained because I really believe a 2-year was where I wanted to see us go, but I didn't want to vote to not extend her. So I'm, abstaining. I think that was the right choice for me. I really did want a 2-year extension for her. So,
Thank you.
but I didn't know. Thank you.
Thank you. And Michael?
Yeah, I think it's just important to point out that because as this gets debated in the court of public opinion and people go away for the summer or come back in the summer or hear this later, it's important to point out that every single member of this board wanted to extend the superintendent's contract. The disagreement stemmed upon when to have this conversation again. Some of us want to have this conversation after sooner than 1 year. Some of us wanted to have a 2-year, but everybody wanted to extend the superintendent's contract. They right now the superintendent with the extension of the contract has 2 years, not 1 year, but 2 years on the of employability, should the contract be signed and approved and ratified. So I think that's important to clarify.
Point of
Anybody
order.
else?
I just want to make sure the motion gave you the authority to, I kind of missed when it was said, gave you the authority to execute the contract. I'm not sure it was in the
It
wording.
wasn't in the motion.
So I have to make a motion to give myself the authority to make the a contract extension.
Correct, because it doesn't work by operation of law. It has to be done by contract.
All right. So we're back to making another motion, taking a vote.
Unfortunately,
Michael? the
I just
clerk-
realized it, so I'm sorry.
Michael, is that the accurate?
Yes, that is accurate. The board chair needs to be authorized to execute.
Okay. Mike, in the future, please speak up a little bit earlier.
You're right.
You'd like me to make the motion?
I'm sure that'd be great. Thank you.
I'd be happy to put forward a motion for the board chair to execute an extension of Dr. Jones' contract as per the board vote. Is it I don't have it in front of me. It's specifically.
It should be June of
June
2020,
2025?
25,
Yeah.
June 30th.
June 30th.
Well, I'll second that motion. I assume there's no discussion, so we'll go right away to a roll call vote. And then I have something to say after that, but I will wait till we take our vote. Michael,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Wait, so this is really the same vote, but with,
same motion, same vote. Yes, but we have to formally.
The
do it
vote is
again.
only so for,
okay, but then I still.
Oh,
Isn't it a
Right.
slightly different vote? It's
Execute the
actually,
contract.
it reminds me
act-
of the
it's-
central vote, where it's like, it's already been voted on and now we're just making it.
just, we
We-
have to
we-
give him
we
the
screwed
power
up.
to execute the contract on our behalf.
Right. Okay, so, and Michael, we're good what we're doing procedurally right now, right?
That is correct.
Thank you. Okay, I believe Kathleen, I didn't hear your vote, sorry.
Okay, so, okay, so no.
No, okay. We have Cody,
Yes.
Christina,
I'm going to stick with my no because it
Okay.
was the same vote. So
Karen,
Yes.
we have Karen Kowalski,
Yes.
we have Laura Costin,
Abstain.
abstain, and I'm a yes. So that's 5-2-1, motion passes. Okay, if no one else has anything to say, or someone could say after I speak, I did lose my train of thought, and let me get it for a second. There was an attempt in our discussions to compromise. The suggestion of finding some middle ground between the 1 year and the 2 years was looked at. We looked at the legal opportunities to do that, and we also were reminded by Michael that it wouldn't be a good governance if we ended a leadership contract during the middle of the school year. So I would say there was an attempt at some sort of middle ground, because this board is quite famous for being able to work things out. It bothers me that there are some hard feelings and harsh words being expressed amongst the board that has agreed most of the time on most issues or agreed to disagree. We have different views on things. People think things for different reasons, but that doesn't mean that there has to be people be upset with other people. People are entitled to their own opinions, and I support that. Of course, my number one goal as the chairman in this category or topic was to extend the superintendent's contract. In fact, the superintendent's contract was extended. So I've achieved one of my goals. So I'm happy about that. As I said, I could have gone either way depending on the vote settled. But the bottom line is it's important we work together. I'm worried about when forcing some people to vote in a way that they don't want to vote. That worries me, and that's why I went the course I went. But I do think that we should all understand that a motion has been passed. And I'm not happy that anyone's making accusations that there's other forces involved. There might or might not be, but the vote is the vote. We have to accept what the vote is. The motion's made, and that's the motion. That's the action we take forward. We then accept what was agreed and move on. And as far as personally on a 1 year versus a 2 year, management of a 1 year extension of a 1 year contract, 1 year existing contract, the management of that, being in the management profession, understanding how to manage things, that's manageable. A 2 year contract is manageable. Both are manageable. But the point is we did attempt to compromise and there was a decision made. And so I'm very happy that our superintendent has extended her time with us contractually. And I'm looking forward to working together with everyone as once everyone settles down, because we do have a break after this. And Cody, you have something you want to say?
I do, but I feel bad. You had a good last word there. There was an observation I wanted to make before, which is I found it fascinating in this process, learning that the Connecticut government had banned contracts longer than 3 years, or there's some limitation on that. I think it's interesting when you think from a governance standpoint, none of the reasons put forward for doing it for 2 years would preclude you from doing it for 50 years, because there wasn't any sort of logical limitation to it. It's actually interesting to reflect on the state government realizing that there's sort of an inherent bias in the way these boards function, actually felt the need to limit it. That was something I should have observed before. I didn't mean to steal the thunder of your final comments, but thought it was worth reflecting on.
Well, thank you, Cody, and thank you, everybody. Congratulations, Dr. Jones, on your contract extension. Thank you, board, for everyone working together and coming and settle this matter. And Laura, would you like to make the motion to adjourn?
Yes. Motion to adjourn, please.
Would anyone like to second that? I will second that. And now we have to take a roll call vote. Sorry about the formalities. Cody,
Yes.
I am a yes. Kathleen?
Yeah.
Karen Hirsch,
Yep.
Christina Downey,
Yes.
Michael Joseph,
Yes.
Karen Kowalski,
Yes.
Laura Costin.
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous. We are adjourning. See you guys in September.